Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of the Ask Engine show. It's a busy Friday here, got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to nail out a quick episode because we are committed to this to come at you each and every weekday. So we're going to go ahead and jump in super quick, get right to it, and send y'all off for the weekend.
Yeah, our first question comes from Quora, and this user is asking, what are the best ways to turn abandoned carts into actual sales?
I love abandoned cart emails. They are... what's surprising to me is I've talked to a few hundred e-commerce entrepreneurs. There are people who are still not doing abandoned carts. And I don't know if it's because it's hard to do with some of the platforms or if it just doesn't come stock and standard. They don't think about it or realize how important it is. But they're literally the number one tool in the toolbox. I mean, I've seen abandoned cart flows that can actually double the conversion rate of the site. It's usually not quite that impressive, but it's close to it, especially if you've got a place later in the cart where they fall off, or if it's if there's something nuanced about the checkout. But abandoned carts are great. It's really one of the reasons we started Engine was that whole event-driven cascade that ought to happen when a user does something on the site. So if you imagine a person adds something to their cart, well, we A/B tested at Country Outfitter when I was running that. We had 11 million email subscribers, so we had a ton of data to really do some A/B tests on. And I think we've built a lot of that into the best practices in Engine around that. So first thing is you've got to just remind them gently and say, hey, you left something in your cart. Did you forget about it? Because they get busy or distracted or whatever. Yeah. And that email probably doesn't go out immediately because that's a little creepy, but it's also not a 24-hour delay. We found, for most cases, and I'm generalizing here, your experience may differ, but 2 to 6 hours, and split the difference, usually around 4 hours, you send that first email. The second one we usually put out around 24 hours and say, hey, you forgot. So 2 general reminders, you forgot. And the reason why 24 hours, I think, works, the math said it worked, but I think the reason why is, let's say you're shopping and you get most of the way through it and you're maybe you're in the pickup line picking your kids up at school and you're almost finished. Well, send it out about 23 and a half hours later, and then you catch that person in the exact same spot where they were shopping yesterday. If it's lunch hour, send it out right before lunch hour. And so that works. And then after that, okay, they clearly remember at this point. And so at some point you kind of dial up the intensity and start with a discount flow or a limited time offer or something like that. And so through our testing, we found that 48 hours is pretty much ideal for that. So you start with a general offer, and then 24 hours later, maybe you do the same offer again. And then after here you are on your 4th or 5th email, it's got to be aggressive. Limited time, buy it now. Yep. Your cart's about to be deleted, whether you're going to delete it or not. So a sense of urgency has to come in there 4 or 5 days after, because they definitely remember you by now after you sent it. You also, at the same time, do some retargeting, remarketing around this. And the combined effect of Facebook ad, a Google retargeting, an email flow like this it's so critical. It could literally double your conversion rate. You get 1.5% conversion rate, you could almost get another 1.5% from the 98.5 people that didn't buy the stuff that were really, really, really close. So did we answer the question?
Yeah.
What would you add?
I think another thing too that you're seeing is these Facebook Messenger bots that are following up with your card.
Those are good.
And I think it's like being where your audience is, and a lot of times if you've got like a younger, kind of more socially active audience, following up via a Messenger bot can be super effective because they will bounce right back from the Messenger app onto your site and check out.
Yeah. Well, it's creepy how well it works. How do you know? First of all, and a buddy of mine says he can get up to 66% engagement. So 2 out of 3 people they send one of these to. That's have you ever seen that good with email or?
Yeah, when it came out, for sure.
Yeah, that's how it used to be.
Century, decade.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll pin on top of this is when you're doing remarketing, when you're doing retargeting, don't realize that you have to continue to still tell the story, especially on social. Email can be very transactional. Buy it. It's in your cart. Buy it. When you're retargeting, especially with bot sequences, you're penetrating. The reason you have such such high engagement is because it's still new.
Mm-hmm.
But you're penetrating what a lot of people consider to be either their secondary or primary mode of communication with people. So you've got to understand and tread lightly there. Don't just run in there and just punch them with a discount, whatever it is. Storytell to them a little bit more on social with your remarketing, retargeting. Explain features, benefits, cross-sell, upsell, things of that nature. Don't stop with the story when you're retargeting. The difference between good creative on your retargeting, the cost per acquisition there versus bad creative is substantial.
It is.
So think about that.
You usually start the first one. There are 2 reminder emails, so the 4 and call it the 23-hour post-event emails. Those are very salesy. They are very, here's the product, it's in your cart, click buy now. And then let's assume they see both of those and they've opened them. Well, the third one ought to be a little bit different. And there's different ways. We trended towards a little discount or free shipping or ABC test between free shipping, a % off, and $1 off, a dollar amount off. But there's other things that we did in there and do in there that are equally important. So it's not that same product over and over and over. In fact, what you do is the first 2 have the product. The third one may have that in a smaller segment. People who looked at this also ended up buying this. And maybe there's a reason they didn't finish that transaction. Maybe they didn't know you had these other things that were, slightly cooler. So people who looked at this eventually bought this. And so that's sort of the logic that we've learned over time and have built into Engine.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
I love
Next
abandoned
question.
cart, though.
Next
Wait,
question
one
is-
more thing.
Oh, yeah,
One more thing. So why not take that up a level, right? So abandoned cart, everyone does that. And all the e-commerce platforms at least have some semblance of abandoned cart. Some of them are hard to use. Shopify is frankly way harder than I thought it would be.
If you've gotten one Shopify abandoned cart email,
Yeah, the exact
you've
same.
gotten
Yeah,
all of them.
Yes.
right. And they're not optimized. I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt they're not, because we don't use those on the ones we build internally, and we just know ours perform better than the. But go up a level in the funnel, right? If you've looked at a product and didn't add it to the cart, shouldn't something happen? Of course it should. Well, Facebook retargeting, remarketing ought to happen. And there's interesting ways that if you to ping people, get their email address and augment out on that. Still with opt-in and can spam compliance. But go up another level. So let's say they were on a red boots page, for instance. Well, start an event-driven flow off of red boots, content around people that looked at this, bought this. Here's all of our red boots. And go up a level. Well, they didn't look at anything. Well, they went to your homepage. Something needs to happen. Yeah. Like if they visited your site and you only send an email once a week, and that email is 6 or 7 days from now after that visit, well, you just lost that person. Immediately ping them, do a follow-up. It doesn't necessarily have to be as aggressive as the abandoned cart flow, but they've raised their hand and said, I'm interested. Don't let them fall off without doing something for them. All right, sorry.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Next question is from r/askmarketing, and it is it effective to create a Facebook ad for conversion on a brand new business page?
So I'll take that one. So Facebook best practices is you need to have 50 event triggers per week per ad set for the optimized event that you're going after. So what that means in layman terms is if you're trying to get 50 purchases, or if you're setting your campaign optimization for purchases, you have to get 50 purchases a week per ad set for Facebook to have that optimized. Now, I will tell you, Facebook best practices and what actually works on the platform sometimes differs. So ultimately, I say this, you have to test it. What you need to do is understand that there's a lot of events that need to take place before you optimize for purchases, especially if you have a brand new pixel. You have no data behind that. So basically what you're telling Facebook is, I want people to be purchasing this product, but you've not allowed Facebook to understand who that person is yet. You've got to run a little bit of data behind the pixel. Facebook has to understand and learn who that type of person is that's going to be purchasing from your site. So then they can go, if you've got 1,000 purchases and you optimize for purchases, Facebook pretty well knows how to dial into that audience. Facebook is great at what they do if you give them the time and the breadth to do it. Now, going one step further, if your cost per acquisition when you're optimizing for purchases is too high, you don't have a good enough ROAS or ROI on that activity, go up further in the funnel, and then talking about email flows, kind of roping it back into the first question, understand that if you capture their email, you can then remarket to them for a much cheaper price. So it's going to lower your total cost per acquisition down. So, yes, you can do it. There are better ways to do it. Split test against each other. So optimize for add to cart, optimize for initiate checkout, optimize for purchase on 3 different ad sets. Run a budget behind them. You're going to be competing against yourself a little bit in the auction, but it's worth it to get back that data for that test.
So the in layman's terms, the answer is you got a new Facebook page. Yes, you can advertise against it, but no, it's not going to be as effective as it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, if you don't start advertising against it, you're never going to have any data. It's never going to get more effective. So it's kind of what I'm hearing. I think putting in my terms is, yeah, you got to do it and know that it's only going to get better over time.
Yeah. So I'm going to add some more context and tweak this question a little bit.
Okay.
Oh,
So this Facebook ad is actually for a graphic tee that references a current event. And
Okay.
it's very time-based.
Ooh.
Does that change the answer any? How would you approach that if it's a very tightly focused, time-based?
Yeah,
product?
so great example. Maxwell Finn is a buddy of mine, and he sold about $4 million worth of Trump coins and Hillary coins during the election. And the way that he did it is he spent about $20,000 in a week, built the data, and then just arbitraged it out until he no longer saw the ROAS that he was going after. I mean, you look at so yes, if it's time sensitive, it's event based. Keep the same pixel, because ultimately, as long as you're staying within the same realm of what's being sold, I mean, if it's political graphic tees, you're always going to know who's going to be more attracted to political graphic tees. Now, if you're all over the place, yes, reset it, but understand that you need to spend a little bit of money with it, and then scale the winners, cut the losers. But
well, they learn quickly too.
Yeah.
So let's say
aggressive rapid fire testing.
Let's say that Alabama wins the national championship, and you put out a tee with that. And I saw this in my feed. I don't know why I got it, because I'm definitely not an Alabama fan. But
He's a closet Nick Saban lover.
I am not. I love Nick Saban. I am not an Alabama fan, however. So anyway, those typically are going to convert really well. The closer you are to the event, the better, obviously. So, it's if you've got something that good, Alabama national championship, and you're able to get it up 5 minutes after the game, or if you're really smart, 5 minutes before the game, and have the ads already ready and tested and pushed and warmed and in whatever, both sides, Alabama or whoever they destroyed, Georgia. Yeah, it's and you're right. It gets better over time. It gets better over time. Pixel data is important.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's it for the show, guys. Really quick episode. We appreciate it. What is our question of the day? You want to take it for this one?
Let's see here. I'll think for a new one.
Feel a little bit better than Jim.
Ooh, yeah. Jim took a little while.
I
would say,
oh, sorry.
what is the biggest marketing challenge you have on your ecom platform? So Jim asked about technical challenge. I want to know what marketing challenges you face on your current ecom platform.
Oh, that'll teach me to be sick, because Jim was on here yesterday.
Yeah.
That'll teach me never to let him in front of the camera.
Guys, thank y'all so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Done.
I need to watch Jim's episode.
Yes.
It's good.
Is he good?
Yep.
Yeah. We need more abandoned cart type stuff that is a problem engine solving. That's why I love that one. Not only do we know it really well, but it's core central to the product. And let us talk about it in a flow for a while.
Make sure I send this to you right back.
Yes, please.
I didn't have my normal spunky energy.
You're pretty spunky.
Was I? Maybe that's what I need. Maybe it needs to be dialed down to that.